Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Exploring Tech Career Field Chat with employers and alumni. My name is Nick Gofford. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm a career counselor in the College of Liberal Arts here at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. The goal of this session is to explore the industry of tech and to connect with employees and alumni who are in this field. This session is part of a series of student prep events for our CLA Internship and Career Fair, which is coming up this Wednesday, September 29th. Panelists will speak from their personal career journeys and experiences, as well as offer suggestions on how to prepare for this industry. So thank you for tuning in. First, I really want to acknowledge that the tech industry is very broad and offers a variety of opportunities, as you'll likely hear from our panelists today. For instance, folks that are interested in tech go on to work in a lot of different areas, including information technology, computer science, data, and the list goes on. So I really want to thank the panelists for being here and for sharing your experiences with our students and alumni. So we will quickly go around and just do an introduction. And I'm going to put everyone's contact info and names up here. So if each of you could, maybe in this order, we'll just stick with this order here, go around, just quickly mention your role, your organization, and what you studied in college. And then we will get started with questions after that.
Nick, I think we're missing Carice. So Hank, if you want to go.
I'll kick us off. So my name's Hank Glover, and I work for SAP, which is one of the biggest enterprise application software companies. And I'm a customer officer for the president of global sales and go-to-market. So really, I work with the executive team on strategic initiatives and key customer accounts. I graduated from the U of M in 2015 with a degree in psychology and a minor in Russian language and culture.
And hello, I'm Julia Salata. I'm with Daily Pay, which is a finance tech startup company. Our line of business falls in voluntary HR benefits. And as far as I'm a CLA alum, I graduated in 2016 with a degree in communications.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Liz Carver. I am also a U of M alum. I graduated in 2018 with a degree in marketing and human resources. I currently work for Infor. We are in a cloud-based business application company, and I work in our recruiting department.
Fantastic. Thank you all for the quick introductions. And one thing that I noticed that I really just wanted to point out is just the variety in the majors that you all come from. As a career counselor that works with a lot of tech students, I often hear from students, you know, if I'm not majoring in computer science or in statistics, right, I'm not going to be able to work in tech. And I think that this is like a really good just reminder that folks enter the tech field with a variety of backgrounds and majors. So I'm really excited to carry on this conversation. And as a reminder to our participants who are viewing, please make sure to send your questions in the chat if you have any, and we will leave some time at the end for the panelists to answer those. All right, so I'm gonna go into the first question, which is, what are some of the key things that you think define the tech career field and those who are interested in it? So why is this career field unique compared to others?
I think as far as I'm still pretty new to the tech realm, so something that I've noticed as a change from healthcare background to tech is that it's always changing, which is great, and it's very fast paced. I'm sure the others can speak to as far as we have a culture of work hard, play hard, in the sense of we are always kind of wanting to be on the next page before everyone else. So I think that's fun in the sense of if you're interested in fast pace and, you know, thinking outside the box, tech's a fun space to play in.
Yeah, you know, tech, I feel like was had a huge catalyst with COVID, because COVID was an inflection point for what was going on in the world, especially when you look at the move from globalism, which was a rising trend. And then we saw from 2016 on actually move back to nationalism. And when COVID-19 hit, I think everything was kind of lined up to to see this drastic change we've seen, especially as supply chains have been massively disrupted. Data has been locked down. You're seeing Australia, you're seeing India with completely different data residency laws, and so I think tech was primed to make a huge impact on that. I mean, that's what companies turn to when they have disrupted supply chains, when they have data residency issues. I mean, even now with vaccines, software to help track vaccinated employees. So the tech is the solution that not only CIOs, but CFOs, CEOs are turning to help solve some of these problems we're seeing.
Yeah, I would, echo what everyone says. It's a career field where that's ever changing and ever growing. It's not going to be a place that, stands still and doesn't grow. So I think anyone who's interested in it, and like we discussed, we all have different backgrounds. Tech is a place that anybody can play in. There's so many different positions, not just those who are, writing code and stuff like that.
Awesome. I just want to acknowledge that we had a tech issue and we have our fourth panelist in here. So sorry about that. Could you quickly introduce yourself?
No problem. Yeah, tech issues happen all the time, as we found during working remote.
Right.
Quick intro though, I am Carice Heason. I'm here with Accenture. I am a technology consultant. I too graduated from the University of Minnesota. May 2018, I did MIS Finance and Computer Science. So just happy to be here with you guys, even if I am a bit delayed.
Thank you again. I'm glad we were able to figure that out.
Me too.
All right. So in CLA Career Services, we're working with students at all ends of the career planning spectrum. So students who are very invested in tech, and then we also have students who are considering tech for the very first time. So I would love to hear from you all. What can exploring students do right now to prepare for a career in this industry?
I think one thing students can do is just go look and see what kind of jobs are out there. Me being a recruiter, I hire so many different roles from, marketing, finance, supply chain, consulting. There's so many different opportunities out there. So just familiarizing yourself with different areas that you can go into in technology is could be super helpful.
Yeah, what Liv's saying is finding out, what roles, and then taking those roles and looking for specific companies and that people that are in those companies. So really, I think networking was huge, because I came, joining a tech company. I joined as a solution engineer, and I had a psych degree. I was in the Marine Corps before, and so I did not have the technical skills and a very different background, but I looked for people who had roles that I wanted to have in companies that I was interested in, and I just asked to have conversations with them with no expectation of a job or even connections or next steps. I just really wanted to understand, and a lot of those conversations led to them asking me to apply for a role or talk to someone else. So I started to understand where I would fit in well, and eventually found a job in a program that got me into the tech world. So I'd say networking is huge.
I'm going to piggyback off that and promote something that build your LinkedIn audience, like in the sense of add people who are in at those companies, follow companies and things, because the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to be ahead. Because communications major, I ended up a recruiter for a place because of one of my connections that I worked with somewhere else wanted me to come work with them here. So I was able to watch on the LinkedIn, see it get posted and apply right away. So you never know where someone's going to be after you graduate and 5 years down the way, and what if they're doing something really cool that you would love to be a part of. And if you build it now, you don't have to start later.
Yeah, I echo everything everyone else said, but really want to emphasize what Liz said. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. It's okay if you don't have any technology experience right now, but familiarize yourself with things that are going on in the news. Like even just doing a quick Google search of like different companies, seeing the new technology that they're implementing, like just seeing what really, one, interests you, and two, what's going on and what people are doing about it will be a huge advantage when you're going through the recruiting process, even without that technical skill set.
Absolutely. So kind of going off of this idea of getting experience. So we have a lot of students who are, still trying to figure out like, how can I broaden my resume? What are some certificates or classes or things I could be doing, right, to add to that resume? So kind of thinking specifically of experiences and how to build themselves up. How would you recommend students do that?
I'd definitely say get involved any way you can on campus. Obviously, certifications are really great and sometimes aren't offered on campus, but things like hackathons, there are several going on through like different groups. I think ACM, ACMW, or like computer and machinery groups on campus. Undergraduate Business Consulting Club offers different case competitions. All of these will expose you to different tech skill sets that you might not get in the classroom. So that would be a really good way to like get that real life experience. And then I think also through different classes like Python is offered. There's a lot of optional classes that you can do regardless of your major that will help you set, or at least set you up for those certifications in the future.
Yeah, I echo that. And I know a lot of people, internships are something that, people push. If, not, maybe you can't have an internship. I always suggest people reach out to local nonprofits, ask if you can do something for them and put it on your resume. So for example, when I was a freshman, I worked at a nonprofit. I was thinking I was going into the marketing realm. So I helped them with their social media. I just reached out, hey, can I help post on Facebook? Because I did that, I was able to get an internship the next summer. And yes, it wasn't paid. Yes, it had to take time out of my day, but not only was I helping out a nonprofit, I was getting experience that I could then showcase for getting an internship the next year.
I'll come at it from the non-technical angle too, because I don't have coding background, and that's not what I really, more of the sales and the pre-sales for tech. And I know a lot of people who work in my company who don't have tech degrees. So don't worry about having the liberal arts degree. I think a lot of the critical thinking and problem solving skills are there, and that's what some of these tech companies are looking for. So as you're looking for a role, and thinking about what can you do in the interim, join things on campus. I know that there's clubs for example, if you're interested in the sales side of it, because that's a kind of a universal skill, right? At whatever solution, service, product it is, that's what they'll be looking for. Of course, internships, but sometimes unpaid, paid, you might need to actually make money in the summer. So understand internships don't always work, but also look for those unique experiences, because I know that's what companies are looking for. They're not always looking for the cookie cutter person to join in. So just look for things that you're really interested in that give you a different perspective, because I know a lot of companies are looking to hire new grads that have that different view.
Really appreciate you all acknowledging all the different types of experience. In CLA, we talk to students about, how valuable internships can be, right? They're really great practical experience. And at the same time, there's factors, right, that might prevent some students from being able to do an internship, as Liz had mentioned. So really just looking at what other opportunities are out there, hackathons, organizations, volunteer work. I think that that's such an important thing to remind students of. So thank you for all articulating that. Yeah, so kind of thinking, COVID's been mentioned, so this idea of trends and times kind of changing, ever evolving. So what are you all thinking the trends currently are within tech and upcoming changes that you're kind of seeing in your work?
I see this a lot because I work for one of the executives in kind of a more rotational program. And like I mentioned, these COVID trends have exacerbated digital transformation at companies, where I've heard people say that they've done more to be ready for COVID and the work from home and the move to digital this last couple of years than they have in a decade before. These trends are only increasing as we keep moving through this. Specific trends, though, I think is cloud computing. The company I work for, we sell on-premise and cloud. I know I don't want to get too technical, but right, so you host your own or someone hosts for you, but people are moving to cloud. It's just that's fact. Wall Street values cloud revenue at 2 times more than on-premise revenue for companies. So I would start understanding if cloud computing at the basics, because that's where we're going to be headed to. If you look at the hyperscalers like Google, Microsoft, AWS, I think they're only going to become more and more big players and move out of the infrastructure and move up into application spaces. So I really think, yeah, cloud computing is definitely it's a trend that's been going on, but I think that's just where all companies are going to be moving towards hosting their applications in IT in cloud environments.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I was going to say the exact same thing. Infor, we're a cloud-based business application company. We do still have some on-prem, but when everyone switched to work from home, using on-prem doesn't exactly work. So I'd say if you are a computer science major, and I know not everyone is here, learning a little something about the cloud on your own time, whether it's Azure, whether it's AWS, that sort of thing. And then I think trends for everybody is just that it's growing. This industry is growing every day. Because I'm a recruiter, we've hired more people this year than we did in the last 2 years combined. It's ever growing. There's so many new positions out there that weren't previously out there. So just taking the time to explore, where could you go?
Agree with Liz and Hank. Cloud is probably number one right now. Everybody's online activity is increasing. With that, also big data. So like knowing what to do and knowing how to harness all the data that everybody's creating through cloud, through online usage. And then I know specifically in consulting, as well as a lot of people that are working remote across geographical boundaries, VR and XR are very big. So like connecting through virtual reality, if there's any way to tap into using like an Oculus headset to connect with someone and kind of mimic that same in-person feel, that's something I believe is going to become very prevalent in a lot of workspaces. And it's something that they're testing out in a lot of environments right now. So pretty cool stuff coming up.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. Yeah, so we've been talking a little bit about networking and this idea of kind of putting yourself out there and approaching, current professionals within the field. So we've talked about LinkedIn, and I also acknowledged our coming up fair, our CLA Internship and Career Fair, which is coming up in a few days here. So do you all have maybe any advice for students and alumni who are a little nervous to network or don't really know how to kind of start up a conversation at a networking event like that? What advice would you have for folks newer to this environment?
I think the first and foremost thing is we're there because we want to talk to you, and we get that you're new to this and we're there to help you. I always would tell, I had a sister who was terrified of those issues. She was electrical engineer. She didn't want to talk to anyone. And I said, just pretend it's me. Just pretend it's your big sister. I am everyone's big sister. I want to be able to answer your questions. We want to tell you about our companies because we think that we want you to know about them. So it might be hard to start, but once you start having those conversations, you'll start to be able to, it'll start to feel more natural.
I would add definitely anything to make it more organic. So if you can do your research, if you know who is going to be at the fair, that I really want to talk to Infor, you want to look them up, do your research, find what actually compels you about that company and use that as a talking point. Sometimes it is kind of awkward to lead into things with your elevator pitch. Instead, bring up something that really interests you about the company and that you've heard about in the news. That's a lot more organic way to have a conversation versus just feeling like you're pitching yourself in a set amount of time. So definitely look up the companies, find things that interest you and speak to them when you're there and talking to recruiters.
Awesome. That's some great advice. And I believe, Beth, that we are still waiting for questions. Is that correct?
Yes, we still have time. 6 more minutes for questions. I'm wondering if I can throw out a question to the panelists. I'm curious to know what resources folks could read to stay current in your industry. So are there particular publications, online resources? How do we stay current with so much changing in technology?
I think probably the easiest one is LinkedIn. I know, Julia talked about it before, but follow the companies that you're interested in. Like I know Infor, for example, we post stuff all the time that is more of that like business acumen about what's going on in the industry, trends, everything like that. So that's free. That's easy to do. You go on your LinkedIn, you see your news feed, and if you follow those companies, they'll show up for you.
A specific one I like reading is the Wall Street Journal, and their CIO. They have a CIO journal inside of it. So it's not going to give you that broad overview. I think you need that stuff is publicly available if you're just trying to ground yourself. But if you want to see these trends and what's going on, I would definitely look into something that's to CIOs and what they're seeing. Because you'll see very specific company examples. And then, I know Deloitte, I think Accenture posts things there all the time. People write editorials. So I go to that to keep up the speed on what's going on.
Yeah, I definitely read the Wall Street Journal a lot. Another avenue, if you are interested in listening through a different way, podcasts. Accenture has their own podcast called Built for Change. It's not just about Accenture. It's just like changes in the tech industry overall, what we can expect in the coming months, things that are happening right now that are impacting the industry. So that's another cool way. I know TED Radio Hour, and I think it's called Science Waves, another podcast by NPR, provides some insight to what's going on in the tech industry.
Fantastic. Yeah, I still don't think we have any questions from our live audience. As a reminder for folks who are tuning into this live, you have the emails and the contact information for the panelists, so feel free to contact them afterwards. For folks who are tuning into this later on down the road, their emails were within that first slide, so you also can get in touch with them at a later point. But I guess as we were kind of wrapping up, do any of you have any last thoughts or things that have kind of come up for you that you'd want to share with our CLA alumni and students?
Yeah, definitely. Don't be nervous about the liberal arts degree and going up against people with, who got the classic, let's say like Carlson, the bachelor in business. You might need to do a little study on your own to get up to speed on some of the, accounting and core business topics, but a lot of the critical thinking, the communication skills you learn, the ability to take in a lot of information, that's very applicable in the tech space. And I still think about some of the classes I took that were liberal arts that really did help me in the tech world.
I would just say use your resources. I know CLA has a great group of people. If you need help, reach out to them, meet with the career coaches, attend everything you can, because it will really help you in the long run.
And if there are any opportunities for you to interface with different companies or different recruiters from those companies, take for example this event, take advantage of those as well. I know several different companies are hosting virtual events, workshops on campus. Attend those, familiarize yourself. Like Hank said, your major isn't everything. It's okay to come in and not necessarily be from Carlson or CSE, but definitely make yourself known to them. What recruiters really care about is your passion and you're willing to learn. So if you're able to showcase that, that's really what we're looking for in a candidate.
Fantastic. Well, I think we can definitely wrap up there. We have no questions, and I think that you all shared such important information. So thank you very much, panelists. And for those that are tuning in, yes, and students and alumni, we hope to see you in our office at future fairs and networking events. And we hope that you stay interested in the tech career field. So thank you all so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.